Alright, we drug Shelly to her first auction today. It's just a little one, but guy had a small international collection and he farmed, so there's really only one thing here in particular I'm interested in, but it's wet, it's Saturday, there's not a whole lot else to do, so might as well come to an auction, right? Actually, this wouldn't be a bad little dozer, but there's one in particular that Dad and I have been trying to buy that we'd rather have, so like, it is wet. I think they got more rain up here than what we got back home. Oh, they got the backhoe stuck. Huh, wallboard pop parts. Probably international, if I had to guess. Because he has several IH. Well, actually, he's got IH. He's got a couple IH plows and a deer plow. Right there. Oh, those are stars. But I bet they're for international. Should text my buddy Dylan and see if he's interested in those, because I bet I could get him cheap.
This surprises. That surprises. I don't know how many more
That cream separator is the whole reason I came up here. It's got the manual. I think all the parts are there for it. I don't think that little loader tractor's selling though. I think that wasn't on the sale bill. Probably why they got it covered up. Drawbar for an A. There's a couple. I think there's two, an A and a Super A, or two Super A's or something up here. We'll see in a bit. The guy has a really nice setup. He's got some really nice shop tools on the auction. Is this a water pump? Yep. Kind of looks like a Wisconsin on there. Ooh, mag ignition. So many Tecumsehs. I hate Tecumsehs.
I did do this earlier. 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Didn't really utilize the space.
Yeah, but 16 back. So, yes.
game.
Idiot.
That's why he needs to come to this.
I said it was a good thing for me to do that. I was my ideal what I already knew was
Pretty nice rigging stuff. I'm guessing all that sells as one lot. Ooh, barrel pumps. I'd be interested in that just for the straps and the barrel pumps. Backhoe in really nice shape. That's got a lot of orange on it. I wonder if that's actually, oh, Pittsburgh, never mind. I was saying, I wonder if that was an Alice Chalmers, but nope. Oh, that is the cutest little fertilizer spreader. If that thing holds a ton, I'd be impressed. Look at that thing. Calhoun. Heard of them before. It's so tiny. Like, look at it. Just sucks, it's kind of crusty on the bottom. I'm guessing it still works though. It looks like they've been using it. Little 8-foot FB drill, I'm guessing. Yep, FBA. Guessing this gun is probably what they ran that water pump on, if I had to venture a guess. As far as binders go, this is a clean old truck. 7,400 and some change miles if it hasn't rolled over once. Which, judging by the interior, I could probably believe 7,400. Michigan, you can't go off the body because you could have 1,000 miles on something, and if you drove it all in any amount of salt and didn't wash it, it looked like it had 1,000,000 miles on it. Chapman Equipment, Wescasville, Pennsylvania. That's a little ways from home. "10-foot rigid." Farm Equipment, Wilkinson, Indiana. Yeah, these international cabs suck to get in and out of. 5,450 hours. I kind of halfway used my hand again today. It still ain't great. Evans Ag, Berrien Springs, they were still a dealer up until they didn't finally go out of business until late 90s, early 2000s. I remember going in there a couple times, vaguely. One of the brothers works at the John Deere dealer, the parts guy now, Reen. He's a good dude. God, is it wet. In one of the pictures I saw a dealer stick around this thing, but apparently not. Clean little thing though. That just finally lost their distributorship because they didn't have it or couldn't find and didn't have anybody that wanted to train to service the Ford Lightning, so Ford pulled their distributorship, even though they were one of the biggest Ford truck dealers in the area. I mean, like, they moved a lot of trucks, a lot of trucks. Super M. I don't think this one, I mean, I don't think there's any reason it wouldn't run, but I don't think it is currently running. I think it needs some work, because in the pictures it was sitting on flat tires.
We're going to be starting in the barn on the back barn there, and then we're going to work our way through that barn, up to the garage up here, and then we'll be on the equipment. We have lunch starting. We'll have lunch for you here today. Probably starting at 10:30 or so. Starting right around 10:30. So getting started here in about 15 minutes. If you have any questions, feel free to come up and ask one of us.
And this is a John's forklift conversion. They were made here just north of here somewhere. I can't remember. Dad would know, but that they specialized in orchard forklifts. Farmall B's, BNs, A's, Super A's were their tractor of choice. I've seen a few Alice Chalmers like WDs, WCs they converted, but they very heavily modified the tractor and then used a Clark steer axle and a Clark. Most of them had Clark mass. This one doesn't look very Clark, but it could be. Post pounder. Oh boy, does it smell like mouse in here. 34,099 miles if it's original. 4-speed. Pontiac Le Mans. I can't remember what year. It might not have even had a year. They didn't have a whole lot of information listed on the sale bill as far as like hours and miles and all that stuff. It's got a 400 in it. By Fisher, whatever that means. It's had a little bit of body work done to it, it looks like, but I'm no car guy, so I couldn't tell you much about it. But I think that's pretty much the extent of the stuff, so we will catch you guys at the end and see how things turn out, I guess. Alright, we'll run through some prices real quick and then we'll get to what I bought. For the people that care about what stuff went for. That John Deere 410 backhoe I thought was a pretty good deal. Thing ran like a top. I didn't really see any major hydraulic leaks unless they did a really good job of power washing it, but it did need cab glass and it needed new rear rubber. But other than that, you probably could have took it out and used it the way it, well, I mean, you easily could have took it out and used it the way it was. That only went for 4,400 bucks. I figured that was probably the best deal of the day if I had to pick one, which there was not very many good deals to be had there as far as what I would have expected things to go for. That John Deere 3300 blew my mind. It went for 3,300 bucks. The 3-row corn head went for 1,700. That 10-foot rigid platform went for 200. I didn't get numbers for everything. I just did the big ticket items. Alright, and then that 5-bottom plow that was behind that 1566, I didn't think that was a bad deal at 400 bucks. That was probably pretty reasonable. It wasn't a bad plow. The 1566 itself, that was another one I thought wasn't too bad of a deal. Went for 11.5. The 856. That was another one that kind of blew my mind. That thing sold for $14,000. And the more I looked at it, the more work it needed. There was a bunch. I mean, the tin and everything on it was straight. I don't think it was beat, but like there was a bunch of welding done on the front axle. The tires were kind of meh. It was, in my opinion, it was not a $14,000 tractor. It was probably a good solid $8,500 tractor, but that's just me. The 706 had a glow plug engine in it. And apparently, I'm guessing the glow plugs didn't work, or nobody knew to use the glow plugs. But they said it needed ether to start. But other than that, I mean, it sounded good, sounded healthy. That one went for $5,750. I didn't think that was too terrible. That, for anybody that cares, that 5510 narrow vineyard tractor went for $21,000. The Ford 3600 went for $7,000. That one kind of blew me out of the water. The 2000 went for $3,500. The 600 Ford went for $1,950. The Super M, another one that kind of got a little nuts. That one went for $2,900. It would run, but it wouldn't stay running, is what they said. But I mean, stuff, that 1950 stuff is getting kind of soft. I was surprised it brought that much, but anyway. The Super 8, or the Super A with the cultivator frames on it, went for $2,200. The Super A that was just a bare tractor went for $1,500, which if I had to pick one, I'd have picked that one because it was probably the straightest of all three of them that were there. The Super A that just had the mid-mount toolbar, it wasn't even a full toolbar, it was just the lift rigging. That went up for $1,800. That BN John's conversion forklift went for $7,750, and it had a bad ring gear in it, so there was times when it wouldn't, you'd have to put it in gear and roll it by hand to roll the ring gear to get the starter to engage, is what they said. And for anybody that cares, that Pontiac Le Mans went for $12,000, didn't have brakes, but other than that, it ran and drove. That Lodestar 1600 went for $550. It ran and drove. That 350B Dozer went for $97.50. That John Deere 40 crawler went for $6,000. That little Calhoun fertilizer spreader went for $550. And I think the last price I got was on that little 8-foot drill. That one went for $350. So everything else was, I didn't figure it was worth getting prices on. Alright, and then on to what I bought. I did not get that International cream separator. I bid on it. I was kind of salty. I had it for $190. I figured there was only me and one other guy bidding on site, and the other guy was bidding reluctantly. I started the bidding out. They started at $500, and I let them get all the way down to $20, and I was the first bid on it, which surprised me. Because there was a couple IH guys standing there next to me that I figured were going to be the ones to bid on it. But I had it for $190, and I bet the bidding stalled out for a solid 30 seconds, and he wouldn't say sold. And then behind me started bidding. Turns out it was the internet jumped in. Apparently somebody must have been asleep at the wheel and finally realized where they were at, and then the internet started bidding. And I only wanted to give, I figured I was going to stop bidding at $150 to begin with, so I was already over my limit, but at that point I was kind of pissed about it. So I bid it up to $300 and quit, and he was starting to bid slower, and I wanted it, but I didn't want it for more than $300. I didn't want it for more than $150, but I was anger bidding at that point. But I made him pay dearly for it, so whoever bought it, they said it was going to Indiana. But man, that thing was so super, it was never outside, it was never in the barn. They kept it in the basement of the house. That thing was immaculate. And if I knew for certain that it ran, because it was electric, obviously. The plug was there, everything was there. If I knew it ran, I probably would have bid one more time just to see. but I didn't know if it ran, and I didn't really want to spend that much money, so I let it go. But anyway, I did buy these 2 David Bradley chainsaws that I didn't even know were there. I didn't even see them on the first walkthrough. They were actually hiding in a truck body that I didn't know was part of the auction. Unfortunately, I had to get the saws, I had to buy that dang Craftsman hedge trimmer and that steel chainsaw box, which a chainsaw box I don't mind having because we got saws that'll fit in it, so I don't mind having the box. And it's got both scabbards. It's got the fitted scabbard for the box, and it's got the stubby scabbard that just slides over the end of the bar is inside it. So it's got 2 saw scabbards in the box. So I had to give $55 for the whole lot, and it was only me and a junk. I guess a junk man is the best term for the guy. You go to most of the auctions in this area, there's a group of like 4 guys that run around together that you see at every single auction, and that's what they do, is they just buy the I guess for lack of a better term, junk. They're kind of like the Sanford and Son type. And it was only me and him bidding on it, and when I saw that he was bidding on it, I was like, no, you're not getting these saws. So but I didn't think for $55 was bad at all. I checked, they both have good compression. Don't know if they got spark, but if they got compression and they got spark, there's no reason why they shouldn't run. I'm assuming this one, the orange and white one here, is probably the older of the 2 because it's just badged as a David Bradley. Obviously most likely would have been sold through Sears and Roebuck catalog or the Sears store. But I'm guessing that this one's probably the older of the 2 because this one is actually badged, other side, as a Sears David Bradley. And the Sears branding would have been coming in as they phased the David Bradley branding out, so that's what makes me think that this one's the newer one of the 2. And this one, actually, they had the original manual for that one. And that one, the blue one, is a 758G gear drive, so it's gear reduction. And there's an original service guarantee placard in here, and the revision on it is 3/1 of 61, so I'm guessing that one's probably about a 1961. Alright, sorry, guys showed up, pick up some stuff from Dad, and I had to stop there for a minute, so I forgot where I was at. But anyway, so that one's the 758G. This one, if I'm reading the tag right, since I don't have any other way to look at it right now, is according to the model number line, is a 917. I don't know if that's the actual model or if that's how that works. What does this one say? This is the model number on the... Nope, that one says 917 too, so they're definitely not the same model, so I don't know for certain what this model is. I'll have to do some internet digging, I guess. But they're definitely not the same saw because they don't even... Like, the oiler on this one's up here, and then this one is down here. But they both have good compression, as long as they got spark. I don't see why they shouldn't run. They definitely both need a bath. But this one must have had a fuel tank leak or an oil tank leak, whichever one's in the back, because there's some schmutz on there that probably needs cleaned off, and can probably get some of that JB Weld fuel tank sealer and make it look a little better. But so that's my buy, so I just got to get rid of that dang Craftsman gas hedge trimmer because I don't want that. Don't have any hedges to trim. So there was not any, I wouldn't say there was any deals at all to be had at that auction, which is kind of how online auctioning has completely ruined farm auctions like that. So you used to be able to go to auctions like that and get a deal before online became a thing, which is great for the seller. It just sucks for the people that show up in person expecting to get a deal. 'Cause if there's anything online, you ain't gonna get a deal. It's just the way it goes anymore, but it's whatever. I got a couple cool chainsaws out of it. Need them like a hole in the head, but I always wanted an old saw to mess with just for shits and giggles, so now I guess I got two. So anyhow, I guess that takes care of this one. So I can kind of use my hand. That finger's still throbbing a little bit, but not nearly as bad as it was. So I can at least use these 3 fingers now and my thumb fairly reliably. So anyhow, with that being said, that's it for this one. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Might actually mess with a couple of them saws this week, mess with at least one of them saws this week, since it's supposed to rain all week. So we'll see.